Hey, hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Following my last video, I'm here continuing my predictions for the 2021 Western Conference standings, but this time with all the playoff teams. Starting with the Phoenix Suns. After 5 years spent in the NBA, it looks like Devin Booker will finally make it to the postseason, because the Suns really improved this year, notably going undefeated in the bubble. But what really makes me think they're going to get to the next level is because the Suns were able to acquire Chris Paul. CP3 might be aging, but he proved he was still a great leader as he took a team that had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs to the 5th seed in the West. In Phoenix, Chris Paul will help Devin Booker get plenty of open shots. And he'll be there to send a bunch of lobs to DeAndre Ayton and do some deadly pick and rolls. To complete the team's big three, the Suns signed Jay Crowder, who's a good 3-and-D player. They brought back Darius Saric, and they can also count on the help of young underrated player Michael Bridges. Following the Suns, we have the Dallas Mavericks. They could easily rank higher, but because there is so much good competition, this is where I would put them if forced to choose, with their depth not being that great. Now, with that being said, the Mavs do remain a very good team. Dallas is led by future basketball legend Luka Doncic, who is most likely to have another MVP caliber season. In fact, he might be the favorite to win that award if the Mavericks finish a few spots higher than what I am predicting right now. Luka forms a nice duo with the unicorn Kristaps Porzingis, and the rest of the roster is pretty solid too. Josh Richardson and Tim Hardaway Jr. are there to add more scoring, so there is no need to worry about that part. The job inside the paint is taken care by Dwight Powell, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Boban Marjanovic. And the Mavs have some good complements with role players like Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber. Next up, we got the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are probably going to be motivated to play well after blowing a 3-1 lead in the first round of the playoffs. Their franchise player Donovan Mitchell seems particularly excited, as he said quickly after the NBA bubble that he was ready for the start of the next season. I expect him to improve once again, entering his 4th year in the NBA. I personally believe he'll average over 25 points per game next season, potentially coming close to winning the scoring title. To lift Utah near the top of the Western Conference, Spider Mitchell can count on the help of Joe Ingles, Mike Conley, who's there to rely on Mitchell with creation, helping him to concentrate on scoring. Rudy Gobert, the team's defensive tower, Bojan Bogdanovic, a really underrated player who averaged over 20 points per game last season, and some decent complements such as Royce O'Neal. The Jazz also had a pretty good offseason as they re-signed Jordan Clarkson, who played great since arriving in Utah midway through the 2019-20 season. And they signed Derek Favors, who actually spent most of his career prior to the 2020 season playing for the Jazz. Entering the top 5, we find the Denver Nuggets. To be honest, I might be sleeping on the Nuggets here because they finished as a top 3 team in their conference for those past 2 seasons. And in the bubble, they surprisingly managed to overcome 2 3-1 deficits to reach the conference finals. But so, Denver only ranking at number 5 shows just how talented the West is. And the fact that the Nuggets let go Jeremy Grant and Torrey Craig doesn't help either. Now, with that being said, Denver still presents one of the best teams in the league. Nikola Jokic is, in my opinion, the best center in the NBA and one of the best passers in the world. The Joker showed he forms a very good duo with Jamal Murray, who played like a superstar in the bubble, strongly helping the Nuggets get past the first and second round of the playoffs. Surrounding Jokic and Murray, Denver has quite a few role players and veterans, such as Paul Millsap, Gary Harris, Will Barton, Monte Morris, and JaMychal Green. They also have young, interesting players to develop with Michael Porter Jr., Bo, or even the rookie RJ Hampton. At number 4, we have the Portland Trail Blazers. This might look like an odd place to rank them, as Portland struggled to even make the playoffs last season. But that was mainly due to injuries, which notably hurted their defense. In fact, they played really well with a healthy roster in the bubble. The Blazers also have the potential to end up this high as they finished 3rd in the West in 2018 and 2019. And another reason I'm ranking them here is because Portland has the most stacked roster the Blazers had in years. Damian Lillard just had the best individual season of his career so far, as he averaged 30 points on a 62 true shooting percentage along with 8 assists, while multiplying the big scoring performances and being very clutch. CJ McCollum is still in his prime years, averaging over 22 points per game and shooting 38% from 3. Yusuf Nurkic played really well in the bubble despite coming off an injury, and Carmelo Anthony is there as the team's third scoring option. The Blazers had a really good offseason as they were able to trade for Robert Covington to upgrade their roster. In Portland, Covington will massively help the wing defense, which was one of their biggest problems. The Blazers signed Derrick Jones Jr., who will also bring more wing defense, and Enes Kanter as a backup center for Nurkic. Portland also has some good complements with Rodney Hood, Zach Collins, and Gary Trent Jr., who played great in the bubble. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors. Here is the other big hot take of the video, with me believing that Golden State is going to finish as a top 3 seeded team in the West. The Splash Bros were supposed to come back fully healthy, which is why a lot of people thought the Warriors would come back into title contention. But with Klay Thompson unfortunately suffering yet another season-ending injury, the expectations have dropped down significantly. However, even without Klay, I still think Golden State will manage to stay one of the best teams in the West. And the main reason for that is because they got Stephen Curry. Steph has always by far been the most important and most valuable player on the Warriors. In fact, during the 2018-19 season, it's with Curry on the floor and not Durant that Golden State had the highest offensive rating with a star player in the whole league. I believe that one of the reasons Steph has such a big team impact is because due to his amazing shooting abilities, Curry has an insane gravity which attracts the defense towards him and creates for others. Watch here Andrew Wiggins describing perfectly Curry's impact on the court.
Steph is a player that, causes a lot of attention. I played one game from last year, and just in that game, I could see the difference. Just the open space I had, and just how much he creates for, his teammates. So he just makes the game easier.
Steph Curry's supporting cast might also be better than what you think. The Warriors were able to acquire Kelly Oubre, who will bring shooting and defense to Golden State. At 25 years old, Oubre had the best season of his career so far, averaging 18.7 points per game. Andrew Wiggins is there to rely Curry with scoring, and while he can be inefficient and inconsistent, he does bring more defense. Draymond Green had a disappointing season notably statistically, but he does remain valuable to the Warriors because of his precious defense and passing. Golden State was able to draft James Wiseman, an athletic big who will be the team's main rim protector and who has the potential to contribute offensively too. And the Warriors' depth is actually pretty good, with the bench having players like Eric Pascal, Damian Lee, Marquise Chris, Ken Bazemore, Kevon Looney, and the rookie Nico Mannion. At number 2, we have the LA Clippers. I think it's fair to say that the Clippers were quite disappointing, as they shockingly blew a 3-1 lead to the Denver Nuggets in just the second round of the playoffs. But I do think they are going to do better, because they should be extremely motivated to redeem themselves and bounce back, and also because there are many reasons to believe that there will be less load management. So if the Clippers manage to build good chemistry, they will be a very dangerous team, because they do present one of the best rosters on paper. The Clippers were able to acquire Luke Kennard and sign Serge Ibaka to compensate the losses of Landry Shamet and Montrezl Harrell. Kawhi had a bad Game 7, but he did average 28 points per game in this year's playoffs, and he is one of the best players in the world on both ends of the floor. Pandemic P was inconsistent throughout the postseason, but Paul George remains a talented two-way wing who seems to be motivated to play well after literally turning into a meme. Patrick Beverley is the team's defensive dog, Lou Williams is there as a near 20 points per game scorer off the bench, Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson are there to add more scoring, Ivica Zubac is an underrated center who's there to set good screens and grab rebounds, while Nicolas Batum will bring his experience. And finally, at number 1, we got the Los Angeles Lakers. What really makes me think they're going to end up first without too much trouble is that, on top of being the reigning champions, they massively improved their roster during the offseason. The Lakers were able to trade for Dennis Schroeder, as well as signing Montrezl Harrell, Wesley Matthews, and Marc Gasol to compete the best duo in the NBA right now. And that isn't even talking about all the role players from the City of Angels title run. Markieff Morris and Kyle Kuzma are there to rely LeBron and Davis with scoring. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Quinn Cook are the team's 3-point snipers. KCP, J.R. Smith, and Alex Caruso are also there to add more perimeter defense. All that while Jared Dudley plays the role of a bodyguard in case anyone dares touching LeBron or AD. And the Lakers have a few young, interesting players to develop with Talen Horton-Tucker, Devontae Cacok, and Kostas Antetokounmpo. And we can have faith in their coach Frank Vogel to help the Lakers play good defense, just like he managed to do last season.